Imagine this. You wake up on a Monday morning. You check your bank account. Same number as last week. Same number as last month. Maybe a little less, actually, because the rent went out, the subscription's renewed, and you grabbed a few too many coffees on the way to work. You go to your job, you do your thing, you come home, you scroll through Instagram, and somewhere between a reel of someone's vacation in Bali and an ad for a watch you can't afford, you think, where is all my money going? Now imagine someone else. Same Monday morning. They wake up, they check their phone, not their bank account, their portfolio. Dividends came in overnight. A property they own generated rental income while they slept. Their index funds went up 0.4%. By the time they've had their coffee, they've already made more than some people make in a week. Same 24 hours, same planet, completely different financial reality. What's the difference between those two people? It's not luck. It's not inheritance. Statistically, 80% of millionaires today are first-generation wealthy. It's not even income, because there are people making $200,000 a year who are completely broke. The difference is a system, a set of rules, habits, and strategies that the wealthy use, and that nobody teaches you in school. My name is Max, and today I'm going to walk you through exactly how the 1% manages their money. Not the vague, fluffy advice you've heard 1,000 times. The actual framework, the actual mindset, the actual moves, and more importantly, how you can start applying this today, regardless of how much you currently make. Stay with me, because what I'm about to share could genuinely change the trajectory of your financial life. Let's get into it. Part 1. The wealth equation. Nobody talks about. Before we get into tactics, we need to reframe how you think about money. Because here's the brutal truth. Most people think about money wrong. They think wealth is about earning more. Work harder, get a raise, make more money, and everything will be fine. But that's not how the 1% thinks at all. The wealthy don't chase income. They chase assets. Let me explain the difference, because this is foundational. Income is money that comes in. Your salary, your freelance gigs, your side hustle. It pays your bills. It keeps you alive. But the moment you stop working, it stops coming. Income is active. You trade time for it. And here's the problem with that model. You only have 24 hours in a day, just like everyone else. Assets, on the other hand, are things that generate money for you, without requiring your constant time. Real estate, stocks, businesses, royalties, intellectual property. The wealthy spend their energy acquiring assets, and those assets do the heavy lifting. That's the equation. Stop thinking income, start thinking ownership. Robert Kiyosaki called this the difference between the rat race and the fast lane. But you don't need a book to understand it. You just need to look at how the ultra-wealthy actually allocate their money. The top 1% hold approximately 38% of all stock market wealth in the United States. They own property. They own businesses. They own pieces of systems that generate value, even while they sleep. Now here's the good news. You don't need to be rich to start thinking like this. Even if you're starting with $100 a month, the mindset shift from how do I earn more to how do I buy assets is the first and most important step. The wealthy live by a simple equation: earn to keep, to invest to repeat. The middle class lives by a different equation without even realizing it. Earn, arrow. Spend, arrow. Earn, more, arrow, repeat. Spot the difference. One builds, one circles endlessly. Part 2. Pay yourself first, and what that actually means. You've probably heard the phrase, pay yourself first. But I want to go deeper than the surface level explanation, because most people hear it and think it means save some money before you spend. That's partially right. But the wealthy version of this concept is much more powerful. When the 1% pay themselves first, they're not putting money in a savings account at 0.5% interest and calling it a day. They're redirecting a portion of every dollar earned into income-producing assets before lifestyle expenses even have a chance to absorb it. Here's how it works in practice. Let's say you earn $4,000 a month after taxes. The average person pays rent, utilities, food, subscriptions, entertainment, and at the end of the month, maybe they have $200 left to save. And some months, nothing at all. The wealthy person with the same $4,000 does it differently. Before any lifestyle expense is paid, they redirect a fixed percentage, let's say 20%, so $800, into investments, automatically, non-negotiably. That money is gone before they can touch it. Then they live on what's left. This sounds simple, it is, but it's ruthless in its effectiveness. And the key word there is automatic. You cannot rely on willpower. Willpower is finite. Willpower gets eroded by a bad day, a tempting purchase, a night out. The wealthy engineer their money so that the right behaviors happen by default, without willpower required. Set up an automatic transfer on payday. The moment your salary hits your account, a percentage goes directly into your investment account. You never see it in your spending account, so you never miss it. Over time, you adjust your lifestyle downward slightly, or you increase your income, and the gap between what you earn and what you keep grows wider. Compounding kicks in. Time does the work. George Samuel Clayson wrote about this in The Richest Man in Babylon, a book from 1926 that is still devastatingly relevant today. His core message, a part of all you earn is yours to keep, not the leftovers, not whatever survives the month. A part, upfront every time, is yours. Part 3. The 50-30-20 rule is outdated. Here's what the wealthy use instead. You've heard of the 50-30-20 rule. 50% on needs, 30% on wants, 20% on savings. It's the budgeting advice that gets thrown around constantly. And for most people, it's a step in the right direction. But it's not what the 1% use. The wealthy tend to invert the equation. Instead of starting with how much they need to live and saving what's left, they start with how much they want to build and live on what's left. Some of the wealthiest investors in the world have publicly spoken about living on 10 to 20% of their income and investing the rest aggressively in their early years. That might sound extreme, and it is, but the principle behind it is powerful. The real framework the wealthy use is what I call the asset first allocation. It works in 3 layers. Layer 1, non-negotiables. These are your fixed essential costs. Rent or mortgage, utilities, groceries, insurance. These should be as lean as possible, not as comfortable as possible. This is where most people make their biggest mistake. They inflate this category with every pay rise. Bigger apartment, nicer car, premium everything. The wealthy keep this lean, aggressively and intentionally. Layer 2, wealth building allocation. This is money that goes directly into assets. Stocks, index funds, real estate, a business. This is the first thing budgeted after the true non-negotiables, not the last. And it's not negotiable. It's automatic. It's sacred. Layer 3, lifestyle budget. This is whatever remains. Want to eat out 3 times a week? Fine, if it fits in layer 3. Want a nicer car? You can have it, if layer 2 is fully funded first. The wealthy are not monks. They spend on things they enjoy, but they spend after the wealth machine is fed, not before. This mental reframe changes everything. Instead of asking, "Can I afford this?" you ask, "Has my investment allocation been funded this month?" If yes, spend freely within your remaining budget. If no, the answer is no. Part 4, multiple income streams, the real secret. Here's a statistic that gets thrown around a lot, and for good reason. The average millionaire has 7 income streams. 7, not 1, not 2. 7 different sources of money flowing into their life. Now I want to be clear, they didn't start with 7. Nobody does. But they understood something fundamental early on. Relying on a single income source is one of the greatest financial risks you can take. Your employer can downsize. Your industry can be disrupted. Your health can change. A single point of failure in your income is genuinely dangerous, and most people don't realize it until it's too late. So how do the wealthy build multiple income streams? They typically fall into 3 categories. Active income is income you trade time for. your job, your freelance work, your business. This is your foundation, and it should be as high as possible. The more you earn actively, the more you have to invest. Portfolio income is income generated by financial assets. Dividends from stocks, gains from index funds, interest from bonds. This grows slowly at first, then faster, then explosively, but thanks to compound interest. Albert Einstein allegedly called compound interest the eighth wonder of the world. Whether he actually said that or not is debatable. What isn't debatable is that it's true. Passive income is the category everyone romanticizes. Rental income from property, royalties from content or intellectual property, revenue from a business that runs without your daily involvement. This takes the longest to build, but it's the most powerful because it decouples time from money entirely. The wealthy spend their early years stacking active income, using it to build portfolio income and gradually building passive income streams on the side. By the time they reach financial freedom, active income has become optional, not because they stopped working, but because they no longer need to work. You can start this today. Even at a modest income level, you can invest in index funds to start building portfolio income. You can start a digital side project, a YouTube channel, a blog, a digital product, to work toward passive income. None of this is instant. All of it is real. Part 5. How the wealthy think about debt. Here's where a lot of conventional financial advice gets it wrong. The mainstream message around debt is simple. Debt is bad, avoid it, pay it off as fast as possible. And for certain kinds of debt, consumer debt, credit card debt, high-interest personal loans, yes, that advice is correct. Eliminate it. Fast. But the wealthy have a completely different relationship with debt, and understanding this distinction can unlock opportunities that most people never even consider. The wealthy distinguish between bad debt and good debt. Bad debt is debt used to fund consumption. Things that lose value, generate no return, and leave you poorer over time. A car loan for a depreciating vehicle, credit card balance from a vacation, a personal loan for a gadget. This type of debt is wealth-destroying and should be eliminated aggressively. Good debt, on the other hand, is debt used to acquire assets that generate more than the cost of the debt itself. A mortgage on a rental property that generates monthly cash flow above the mortgage payment. A business loan that funds an expansion generating 30% returns when the loan costs 8%. This is leverage, and leverage, used wisely, is one of the most powerful wealth-building tools available. Wealthy, investors, real estate moguls, business owners, they routinely use other people's money to amplify their returns. That's not reckless, that's strategic. And the key is the math. If the return on the asset exceeds the cost of the debt, you're building wealth even while borrowing. This doesn't mean you should go out and take on debt carelessly. The risks are real. Leverage amplifies losses just as easily as it amplifies gains. But the wealthy understand these tools, respect them, and use them deliberately. The average person fears all debt equally, and in doing so, misses opportunities. For most people watching this, the immediate application is this: destroy your consumer debt first. Then, and only then, start thinking about whether strategic debt can work for you in the context of real estate or a business. Part 6. The investment strategy. The 1% actually uses. Let me kill a myth right now. The wealthy don't beat the market through secret stock, tips, insider knowledge, or some genius trading algorithm. The evidence on active stock picking is damning. Study after study shows that the vast majority of professional fund managers underperform the market over the long term. The secret is not cleverness, it's consistency. Here is the actual investment approach used by the majority of wealthy, financially sophisticated individuals. Not hedge fund managers, but the quiet millionaires, the high net worth families, the people who built wealth steadily and held it. Step 1. Max out tax-advantaged accounts first. In most countries, there are vehicles, retirement accounts, ISAs, pension plans, that allow your investments to grow tax-free or tax-deferred. This is free money. The government is giving you a tax break to invest for your future, and most people either don't take full advantage of it or don't take advantage of it at all. Before you invest a single pound or dollar in a taxable account, max these out. Step 2. Invest in broad, low-cost index funds, not individual stocks, not crypto on a hot tip, not your brother-in-law's startup. Broad market index funds, total stock market funds, S&P 500 trackers, global equity funds that give you exposure to the entire economy at minimal cost. The average expense ratio on an actively managed fund is around 1%. On an index fund, it's often below 0.1%. Over 30 years, that difference in fees compounded is enormous. Step 3. Invest consistently, regardless of market conditions. This is called dollar cost averaging, and it's the most psychologically difficult thing to do. Because when markets crash, every instinct screams at you to sell. The wealthy do the opposite. They buy more. They understand that a market downturn is a sale. Everything is cheaper. And if you're a long-term investor, and which you should be, cheaper is better. Step 4. Don't touch it. The number one enemy of long-term investing is the investor themselves. People sell at the bottom. They chase trends. They get emotional. The wealthy either have the discipline not to, or they automate their investments so that human emotion is removed from the equation entirely. This isn't glamorous. It's not the Wolf of Wall Street. It's index funds, consistency, and time. But it works. It has always worked. And it will keep working. Part 7. The mindset. Layer everything else is built on. We've talked strategy. We've talked tactics. But I want to close with something that ties all of it together, because without this piece, none of the tactics matter. The wealthy think about money differently at the identity level. It's not just what they do, it's who they believe themselves to be. And this might sound soft or philosophical, but stay with me, because it's actually the most practical thing I'll say in this entire video. Most people have a complicated, emotionally charged relationship with money. They feel guilty spending it. They feel anxious not having it. They feel resentment toward people who have more. They feel shame about wanting more. These emotions are understandable. Money is tied to survival, security, status, freedom. Of course it's emotional, but the wealthy, the ones who've built and kept wealth for generations, tend to see money as a tool, not a scorecard, not a measure of their worth, not a source of identity. A tool, neutral, functional, powerful when used well, destructive when misused. And because they see it as a tool, they make decisions about it rationally. They don't avoid looking at their finances because it makes them anxious. They don't spend impulsively to feel better. They don't make fear-based decisions in a market crash. They approach money with clarity, intention, and a long-time horizon. This mindset is learnable. It starts with financial education, not just reading articles, but genuinely understanding how money works, how markets behave, how compound interest functions, how taxes can be optimized. Knowledge reduces fear. And reduced fear means better decisions. Better decisions compounded over time mean a fundamentally different financial life. The wealthy also invest heavily in themselves, their skills, their network, their knowledge. Warren Buffett has said that the best investment you can ever make is in yourself. Not because it's a nice sentiment, but because a higher skilled, better networked, more knowledgeable person earns more, spots better opportunities, and makes smarter decisions across every financial area of their life. So let's bring this full circle. You woke up this morning, checked your bank account, and wondered where it all goes. That version of you is real, but it's not permanent, because now you know the framework. You know that wealth is built through assets, not income. You know that paying yourself first, automatically, relentlessly, is the foundation. You know that the budget structure matters, that multiple income streams are the goal, that debt is a tool when understood correctly, and that boring, consistent index fund investing beats everything else over time. And you know that underneath all of it is a mindset shift, from passive receiver of financial outcomes to active architect of your financial life. None of this requires a trust fund. None of this requires a six-figure salary. It requires a decision, a commitment, and the willingness to start imperfectly with whatever you have right now. The 1% started somewhere too. Most of them started exactly where you are. The difference is they didn't wait until conditions were perfect. They started, they stayed consistent, and they let time do the work. Now it's your turn. If this video helped you, do me a favor. Share it with one person in your life who needs to hear this. Drop a comment below telling me which of these strategies you're going to implement first. And if you're not subscribed yet, now's a good time, because we put out content every week designed to help you build real, lasting wealth. I'll see you in the next one.